John, congratulations.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it. It's awesome to be here.
It seems like this was a big day. You connected with your family, your wife and kids being here in this beautiful complex. Kind of a dream come true, huh?
Absolutely. I'm not sure I got this far in my dreams. In Las Vegas with the Raiders and my family sitting there in front and the silver and the black. I mean, small town Wisconsin kid growing up as a diehard Packers fan and turned that card in a long time ago, and just no place I'd rather be than here right now.
I tell you, I mean, every football kid who grows up has like a Raider moment. What was your Raider moment?
I've actually told a couple people this so far today, but when you grow up in Wisconsin, the Raiders are always on late. So I remember going to my grandfather's house all the time, and family would be doing whatever, and I was just put the TV on. I want to be on NBC with Dick Enberg and see Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen and Tim Brown and James Jett just up and down the field. You know, that's like a seminal moment that I've thought a lot about over the past week.
Yeah.
Well, Azia is a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame and with the Eagles, and you were just back there. That's important. Your start going back then as you were breaking into the business and your early mentors.
I mean, I can't think of a better spot to have started a career than in Philadelphia at that time. Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott, Spags was there. You know, GMs, Jason Light, my old GM, but Matt Russell, who ran the Broncos for a while. Howie Roseman was there. I mean, what like an incubator of talent, and we won a lot of games. And I look back, it's like, well, of course we did. We had great coaches, we had great personnel people, and that's just an example. If you get the right people in the building, that's what's going to happen. And so for me to have a front row seat to the way that they built the team and managed the team and stayed competitive every year, I mean, I pinch myself over that stuff.
Yeah. Were there building blocks that they had that kind of stuck with you throughout? And if there are, were they?
I just think about Andy all the time, just being remarkably steady and consistent and dealing basically with losses and wins the same. And what a challenge that is, I think, in our industry. I mean, Pete talked about a little bit, the highs and the lows of wins. You got to get rid of that really quick after Sunday because the next Sunday's coming fast. And I could always marvel at the fact that when you walked in, you saw Andy on a Monday, you didn't know if it was a win or a loss the day before. It just was, we're on to the next. It's about our process. It's about our preparation. It's about our work ethic, and that'll take us to where we want to go.
John Spytek joins us. John, for your career, seems interesting this most recent run with Tampa Bay to get that Super Bowl, bringing in Tom Brady. But Eric and I were looking at the roster, and you mentioned it at the press conference, all the players you drafted or were undrafted to build that team. That's got to be a proud moment for you at that stage in your career to retain that many great players.
Yeah, remarkably proud for the process that we put in place with our scouts and the job that they did. You know, our ability to work together and, take a shot with Tom and get it done, and then take a couple more shots and then kind of fall short and turn the oldest roster in the league into the second youngest roster in the league in 2 years was a testament to our scouts and the process that Jason Light put in place. And when you really look at it, when you look about the amount of dead cap space we carried into 2023 was $75 million. We really had no other choice either. We had to hit home runs in the draft, and we knew that. We embraced it, and we did it. And I'm proud of a lot of things in my career, but the 44 or 53 guys being homegrown to start the season this year is really cool.
Well said.
Yeah. Any similarities, some of your stops that you see with this football team?
I mean, there's a bunch of great players here, I think. I mean, Max was there today. It was so good to see him and meet him, and I have so much respect for him. I mean, here's a guy that plays 100% of the snaps as an outside, as an edge pass rusher. I mean, it's really one-of-one stuff. Yeah. Obviously what Brock Bowers did is incredible. I'm not surprised. When he started to fall in the draft last year, we kind of thought like, well, maybe he'll make it all the way to us. And then now I'm sitting here. I'm really glad that he didn't, because I wouldn't be with him anymore. But I see a lot of really quality football players in here, and the one thing that they haven't had is stability. Mm-hmm. And that's up to Pete and myself right now, is to give some stability to this franchise so these guys can become the players they're capable of.
I'm happy you said that, because there were so many players injured. You look at Christian Wilkins, and you followed him in Miami, and to know that he's ready coming off an injury and how great of a player he is, and then other players that you're going to consider down the road to either pay in free agency or decide what you're going to do. I think the team's roster, it didn't show up in the record. It was a much better team, and then the 10 losses in a row, and all the injuries started mounting. When you watch the Raiders from a distance, you could tell, I think, other than Detroit, they had the most players missing from IR injuries here. A lot of those guys will be coming back healthy, looking to play for you.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like they're free agents or draft picks when they show back up. I mean, to get Christian Wilkins, we played the Raiders this year. We didn't have to deal with Christian Wilkins. We were very grateful for that. So him coming back now healthy, ready to roll, will be like adding an additional player. And then the one thing I'll say when we played the Raiders this year in Tampa is I had a ton of respect for a team mired in a long losing streak, the way that they laid it on the line and competed, which tells me there's a lot of guys here that love to play and love to compete. And we just got to keep building and add more of those people here, and we'll get a chance to be playing when it matters.
We were talking today, JT and I, about, it seemed like the previous coaching staff left some pieces that were not starting on the first floor, right? You're saying that just kind of the culture and what it means to be a Raider. From a GM standpoint and from evaluating players, did the previous GM kind of put you in a situation where you feel like you're not starting on the first floor?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's some good players here, and our job is now to support them and add more good players to it. And, I think that every NFL team has talent. I mean, there's not a lot of really great football players in the world. I mean, you know this. I mean, you were a great one. But there's a lot of really good football players in the world. And, our job is to help them grow as people, as players, and surround them with people that can make their jobs easier too. When you line up and you know that the guy next to me is going to do his job, that makes my ability to do my job better. I don't have to worry about if my tackle is going to, fix the TE stunt with me. I know he's going to do it, so I'll just do my job. And we just got to keep adding people to that.
I think a lot of fans would like to know your friendship and relationship with former teammate Tom Brady at Michigan. You spoke about that a little bit and how you kept in touch along the way before he became to the Bucs organization. Now, his family, his kids, and your kids. What's that relationship, the cornerstone about it?
I think the cornerstone is Michigan. I played with Tom in 1999. And then he went on to do great things, and I was an intern with the Philadelphia Eagles. So he had already won 3 Super Bowls by the time I started that. But, for our paths to cross again, and then the time that we got to spend together in Tampa, the one thing that we kind of kept coming back to was our Michigan past, and how it was kind of in us. And it's the team, the famous Bo Schembechler quote. And those who stay will be champions. And the competitive stamina and the selflessness that it takes to build a winning program. And we kind of resonated over that. And yes, we grew friendly through the years, and we stay in touch, and it was great to see him when he played our games this year. But I'm grateful that he thought enough of me to give me a chance to interview. But I know one thing about Tom: if he didn't think I could do the job, I would not be sitting here right now. Because the only thing he cares about is winning, and when his name's on it, he really cares about it. So,
for sure,
I know. When you're going through I was always interested in this. When you're on your side of the field, analyzing players, evaluating players, is there something in a player that lets you know that he loves the game? I think, like, you can see a guy play, but when you sit down and talk with him, are there certain things that come up that says, man, this guy is the type of player I want on my football team because how he loves the game. He's going to show that in practice. He's going to show that when he walks outside the building. Anything like that?
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do as a scout is watch tape before I read the character on a player and then try to guess what the character is. And when you get to your 21st year of doing it, you actually would be surprised, or maybe not, how easy it is to do. So use a defensive player. Like, if you're going to not run and chase the football when it goes the other way, you're telling me things. You're telling me you're out of shape, you don't care, you're not that competitive. But if you're like Buda Baker, would be an example. This guy chases everything. He's one of the most competitive people I've ever interviewed. So those two things match up a little bit. If you're a running back, I mean, you're going to run out of bounds before the first down. I mean, I've been a part of teams where guys do that, and it's just like I cannot stomach it. If you're a corner and it's down block, down block, down block, and here it comes. I mean, you want to go up there and tackle them like Antoine Winfield Sr. used to do, one of my favorites, like Charles Woodson used to do. I mean, or do you want to? Somebody else will tackle that. And those are the things where I think the players show you how much it means. Because football will expose you. It's a hard game. It's a physical game. It's not real comfortable a lot of times. And there's some people that are okay in that space, and there's many that aren't.
John Spytek is our guest. I want to ask you about the AFC West. Obviously, Kansas City going back, trying to three-peat. When you think of Jim Harbaugh and the connection over there at Michigan, especially Sean Payton in Denver, they hit with Bo Nix. When you look to build this team and revamp this roster, you think of the entire NFL. But first, your comments on the division.
Well, if it's not the best division in the NFL, it's certainly the second best division. Yeah. We could probably argue between this one and the NFC North. But, I mean, I have so much respect for Coach Reid. Obviously, I've already gone up with that. Coach Payton was in the AFC or the NFC South with me for years. I mean, great coach, teams that do it the right way. And then, you know, Coach Harbaugh won a national championship at my alma mater, so much respect to him too. But I don't think there's any secret, right? I mean, we know what we're getting. We know they're good, physical, well-coached football teams, and we're going to have to deal with it. And, you know, I've always been somebody that's up for a challenge, and I'm not under any preconceived notions it's going to be easy. But, you know, if we can build the team the right way, physical, tough, relentless, in the trenches, then we'll be able to compete with that. Absolutely. And we got 3 good quarterbacks, so we better figure out a way to help Max and Christian and affect quarterbacks.
Yeah. Last one for me is when you start talking about culture, you start talking about how you build that culture. What are some of the context that goes into building a culture for a football team?
Well, I think we talked a little bit about it, but just it's the person that we bring into the building. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is one of the things that I think is most important, or one of the things I feel most responsible for in my job is, you know, there's that great line from some of the philosophical readings you can do out there, like your character will become your fate. And so the kind of person that we bring into this football team on this roster, that's what ultimately we're going to end up getting. So we've got to focus on the guys that are about the team, that are about doing it for the Raiders and not for themselves, that are going to work hard, that they're going to study so that when they get to the game on Sunday, we know, the coaches know, the players next to them know that they're going to do the right things. And then they're going to lay it on the line, you know. If it's 4th and 1 and here comes the fullback, I mean, do we want to go win the game and knock them out, or are we just going to be like, that's going to be a little bit too big of a collision for me? And we've got to be about those things here. It's easy to talk about, but we got to go find guys that are about that stuff.
Last one from me. You mentioned your family, to have an impact, to be the general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders in this thriving community, with the work you want to do with your wife and your kids going to school here and all of that. What is your message to our community here in Las Vegas as they welcome you?
Well, giving back to the community has been something that's hugely important to my family and I. We started a foundation to honor our late daughter, Evelyn. It's called the National CMV Foundation. You know, we've been active in foster care in the Tampa Bay area, and my wife is an angel. She's the strongest person I know. You're going to see her out there doing things, and, you know, it's important to us to give back. To that who much is given, much is needs to be given back. And, you know, who would we be as a family if we have all these nice things in life that we've been afforded and we didn't try to help out and make a community better? So excited to be a part of Las Vegas and the growing community here and do our part to make it even better.